Ideal Protein Nation, long time no see. I apologize for that. But again, I am always trying to bring you the best guests, the most inspirational stories. And have I got an incredible guest for you today? So, for those of you who are new to the Life Possible podcast, the Life Possible podcast actually is a show designed to spotlight successful coaches, clients, clinic owners who have used the Ideal Protein Protocol to literally reset their body, reset their mind, and reset what's possible for their lives. These people are pursuing goals and dreams that they thought were dead and gone. They're pursuing goals and dreams, in some cases, they never even knew they had. So who am I and why am I doing this show? My name is Dr. John Barnes. And well, I tell you, there's no easy way to put this, but back in 2015, I was fat, sick, and depressed. And I tell you, the worst part about it was I didn't see a way out. I had ruined my metabolism. I had no idea what I had done. And I thought I was going to be stuck like that for the rest of my life. But truly, I believe that God brought me the Ideal Protein Program as the answer to a lot of my prayers, both personally and professionally. And now I truly feel like I'm living a life that's healthy, vibrant, and alive. These pictures are from 2021 when I was able to actually finish my first half Ironman distance triathlon at the age of 54. So who do I have for you today? Well, I tell you what, I've got Alli Raymer, and I can't wait for you to meet Alli. Alli works for Ideal Protein, actually, as a marketing specialist. She lost over 60 pounds in 6 months, and it has totally changed her life. She now feels like she's living a life that's just so much more authentic and expressive and free. Alli's 30 years old, and I really hope that her story speaks to a younger generation than a lot of the guests that we've had on this show. I really kind of feel it's so poignant that if you could create a transformation like Alli has in your 20s and 30s, who knows what course you can set for the rest of your life possible. So let's stop talking, Doc, and let's bring her in. Where is she? Hey!
Hi. How's it going?
How are you, Alli?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're going to let the listeners and viewers in a little bit on how come it's taken so long. We were all set to go yesterday too, except for every piece of technology I owned.
It was struggling there, but I'm glad you got it figured out.
So thank you so much for bearing with me. Like I said, I can't wait to tell your story. I think you're such an amazing person. And I think that you've got a lot to share with Ideal Protein Nation. And you know what? I also thought I wanted to go back to this before and after picture that I used, because I'd like for you to kind of explain the two different pictures, where you are in both of them, because I think there's some pretty neat stories there.
Yeah. So in the before, there's a sunflower patch in Northern Virginia, probably honestly not too far from where your clinic is. My boyfriend, we had just started dating at the time, so we went there for a date. Collecting sunflowers, which are my favorite. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a sunflower tattoo. They're very important to me. So that was before going on a date with the love of my life now. And then the after picture is actually in Canada after we had filmed my success story video in the Powering Life Possible project, which I think we're going to talk about later.
Yes.
I just went out with a couple of my Ideal Protein friends after Super Weekend. We just wanted to hang out, have a good time, explore the area while we were still around. And we were just taking fun pictures at Lake Louise. And I don't even know why I decided to do a toe touch, but I was like, look at this. And Catherine grabbed the photo. And it's kind of lived on as this kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say like a symbol or anything like that, but just kind of like, it feels like
it's iconic.
I don't know if I guess.
So it's literally iconic.
And my grandma, I remember commenting on the photo. She was like, I didn't know you could kick that high. And I kind of remember thinking like, I didn't think I could either. It just kind of happened and thankfully got captured in the moment.
I was going to say, because if you could never reproduce it again, it's just an amazing shot.
I actually ended up reproducing in San Antonio on the river too. And the same person took the picture.
Oh, it's going to be a thing.
A recurring thing. Yeah.
It's going to be a thing. Well, I was thinking that too, right? How long have you been working with Ideal Protein?
Since June of 2021. So
Yeah.
coming up on 2 years almost.
And so what's fascinating about that is where have you been all over the country in the past year for Ideal Protein or the North America, right?
I've had I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I got to go out to Seattle,
Yeah.
Alexandria, Alberta, Canada, San Antonio. I'm going to Ottawa next week for IP as well. So
Wow.
a lot of awesome opportunity to travel. And I love traveling, and the fact that I get to do something awesome while also getting to travel too. It's really awesome.
Yeah, since we've been Facebook friends now, probably almost that entire time,
Mhm.
I've really enjoyed your pictures at the different locations because, again, I think you've got this zest for life, and I really think that it just comes through. And so it's been a lot of fun to see you enjoy all the different cities. Um, yeah, so I wanted to point that out because I was thinking about that today. I would have glossed over that yesterday,
No,
but I'm glad we had the opportunity to revisit that.
thank you.
So let's start from the very beginning, Alli. Tell our listeners and viewers what has been your history with weight gain, weight loss, those kind of
Yeah,
things.
so when I was born, I was over 10 pounds. So I always joke that I just kind of started off as a bigger person. I was born, 10 over 10 pounds. And I kind of was consistently larger throughout my life. I was bullied in elementary school. They would call me Shamu.
Oh,
I got a lot of it in middle school and even in high school when I tried to make healthier changes for myself, like eat salads. I don't know if you remember those sprayable dressings that were a thing at one point where like, oh, one spray is 2 calories or something like that.
oh my God, right?
I had that in my locker, and that's I would have
Oh
those with my
wow.
lunches, and I would eat salads, and I would get bullied for eating salads. I would get bullied for trying to make myself better, and it just really took a huge toll on my like mental health, my like self image, my confidence, all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, pretty much, I'm the when I got called Shamu, I'm pretty sure I was in like fifth, no, not even like first or second grade, maybe,
Oh my God.
and it
Yeah,
really
that's
kind of
horrible.
continued on through my school years.
That and you hear that story more and more and more often. It just breaks your heart every time. Kids can be so absolutely cruel,
Very
you
much so.
know? Yeah. So after high school, college, adulthood,
Mhm.
etc.
Yeah,
Uh,
so in adulthood, my weight fluctuated a lot. I ended up losing a decent amount of weight, kind of more or less unintentionally, like going to college, walking around campus, just getting more exercise naturally. Like my eating habits changed a little bit just because of the cafeteria and things like that. So my weight went down, but it would go up and it would go down and it would go, very, very
yep.
yo yo. Sometimes I would try, sometimes I wouldn't. But in college, it went down. Um, Grad school, it went up and then it kind of went down again because I tried. I don't even know. I've tried so many things. I've tried like
Yeah. Right.
everything I think I've ever heard of at that point in time. So and up and it went down and up and down. I did DIY keto, all these things.
Hmm.
And finally, when I found Ideal Protein, I was working here first. I didn't even, be perfectly honest, I didn't even know what it was. I just applied for the administrative assistant job, and the amazing Dr. Dolores Zambado hired me on as the administrative assistant. And then it all kind of is history from there. And that's when I
Yeah.
actually found something that was a sustainable weight loss that worked for me and has consistently worked for me since the day I started it.
Yeah, again, I think that's absolutely fantastic, but it tells a story. Unfortunately, still today, ideal protein is one of the best kept secrets in weight loss.
Mhm.
In fact, it's probably the most effective but best kept secret in weight loss,
Mhm.
in North America. And so, I'm really excited about the fact that now you've shifted into the marketing department and that you are applying your talents and abilities there so that we can stop that from being a secret and we can, truly get the message out to the world.
That's
So
the
you
goal,
just answered an ad on Indeed for an administrative assistant position with this company, Ideal Protein, and
Mhm.
Dr. Zimbato. And so I think that's interesting. How long did it take once you had been hired and you started kind of learning about Ideal Protein? How long did it take before you said, you know what, I think I'm going to give this a shot?
2 months. So I started in June, kind of got into everything. Dolores really wanted me to learn about Ideal Protein, not so much the job, but the company, the mission, what we do, how we do it, all these things. So I submerged myself in that, and that obviously piqued my interest. But then we had a group meeting in Maryland together in person for the first time for me ever, and then a first time for them in 2 years, since you know what happens.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we had this big meeting together at the Chesapeake Bay, and I felt so inspired. All the employee, like the entire Southeast team, everyone there just made me feel so inspired, and I wanted to do it. And so I remember we went to this cooking class where we learned to make gnocchi. There's like a fun, like collaborative group class that we did together just for like bonding. And I remember leaving back to the hotel, and it was a bus, all of us were on a bus together, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, and like everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. And like it was just like all this like positive energy. And sure enough, Dr. Karen de Blasio, who ended up being my coach, was there. She's like, I'll be your coach. I was like, great. And it all just kind of happened so quickly on the ride home from the kitchen to the hotel. And I started, I think, like the Monday after, or not too shortly after,
Wow.
and then it all just, and then here I am.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. And actually, I'm getting goosebumps because you know what? Again, like that's how it happens. And you can't be around people who are in Ideal Protein without feeling that passion, without feeling that excitement,
Mhm.
especially when there's however many of them in that room who have used it to change their life,
Mhm.
right? And
Every
so
single one of them, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
yeah. So like I was literally just visualizing being out there with you guys, and the cast of characters involved, and what an amazing introduction you had actually
Mhm.
to the company and the program. Fantastic. So at that stage of your game,
Mhm.
um, where were you as far as weight goes, and what did you think? What did you think was possible?
Yeah. So at that point in time, I was at about 237 ish. But that's not my highest weight ever. So my highest weight ever
Mhm.
recorded weight is 292. But I like what I feel like a lot of people were afraid to step on the scale. They were afraid to see that number. So I feel pretty confident that that number was higher at some point in my life. I feel like I probably was over 300 pounds. I just don't have it recorded, but I know my highest
Yeah.
was 292. Um, and but at that point in time, like I said, I did DIY keto. I was trying to make some better life changes. So I ended up going down to about 237, and that was about the lowest I had ever gotten. I think 220 was the lowest ever in my life.
Yeah.
I was at 237 when I started, and then I thought what was possible was about like 190, because I'm 5'11", so I'm pretty tall. I've what I
Yeah.
learned from the in-body scale, that I have a lot of muscle. Um so I thought like, oh, I don't know, like 190, like it'd be amazing. I never thought even like I would be able to get under 200 pounds, but now I'm living at about like 180, 185, and I've
Yeah.
been at 180, 185, and that felt kind of impossible at one point in my life.
Yeah, no, I loved it when you were telling me that story. So number one, when you did the program, as we discussed it, you lived kind of far away from their clinic, so you kind of did a hybrid situation, right? Where
Yeah.
you'd roll up there to their clinic in Maryland and see them and get on that in-body scale. And I think that I love that you had that experience because as we talked about it, a lot of people come in with the misconception that they've got a very slow metabolism and oh my metabolism is slow and oh I just can't lose weight. And then you get on an in-body scale and when the coach interprets what they see on that report, it's really kind of neat to find out, no, quite actually, you've got all this muscle on your body that you didn't know you had, right?
Mhm.
And because of that, you actually have a, moderate to fast metabolism. The challenge is you just haven't been able to tap into that yet.
Mhm.
So that's what we're going to do with the protocol. we're going to work from the inside out and shift your metabolism so we can tap into that. And that's how the magic happens. And that's
Mhm.
how, we get the weight loss we get. And you feel so amazing while you're doing it.
Yeah, and it's really encouraging too because, like, I feel like I definitely felt like this, and maybe a lot of other people feel like this too, like, "Oh, I'm just made of complete fat." Like, that's how it feels,
Right.
especially when you don't feel good about yourself and you, like it's nerve-wracking to kinda step on the scale, but to, like, go in there and your coach should be able to say, "Actually, it's a lot of muscle and it's a lot of water," and, like, it feels good to know that there's maybe not as much, like, fat as you thought, like, it's still there and there's still progress to be made, but to know that, like, the amount of fat that you thought you had is more so muscle and that gives you more potential, it's really encouraging.
Yeah, and it's actually fascinating to me too how people come in with an idea of how much weight they should or they're supposed to lose. And when we review that and I say, "Well, you know what? Actually, I wouldn't even want you to lose that much because that would mean that we'd have to get rid of some of this muscle mass, which we really never want to do. We want to hang on to this." And they're like, "Wait a second, I don't have to lose that much weight?" And I think that's very encouraging right from the
Mhm.
outset as well.
And I think it helps too because I think as a kind of as a country as a whole, we're like, we have to weigh this much, and we're so fixated on the number that we are versus the
Mhm.
quality of what that number means. So we think we have to be super skinny and we have to be like 0% fat, but it's not the number itself, it's the composition of your body. Like I people say, "Oh, you like maybe you should be like 150 pounds." That's not suitable for some people, especially with the muscle and things like that. So being able to
Yep.
kind of interpret that and like understand your body and its composition better and have your coach walk you through that helps
Yeah.
you a lot too, because it like you could be 180 pounds of pure muscle and it makes it easier for you and you kind of understand in time too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hey, the other thing is you gave me so many amazing pictures for us to feature on the show. I'm going to just start interspersing them as
Yeah.
we're talking, and then I'm going
Yeah,
to
go
have
for
you
it.
address the pictures and kind of talk about the befores and afters. Take us through these two pictures.
So the one on the left is me when I was in high school. I was a theater kid, very much so. So this was I was in a production of Godspell, and this was during
Okay.
my solo number. I was again big in high school. That was around like my biggest on and off, and then. The picture on the right is me enjoying Richmond, Virginia. My boyfriend and I decided to go because we live not too far from there. We had just moved to the area, and I was like, "Take this cute picture of me by the river." Which that I guess that's a fun kind of point to take out is, like, I want pictures taken of me now, like, I enjoy pictures being taken of me versus kinda like, don't take pictures of me, like, because I was ashamed of myself at that point in time. Like, this picture was because I was on the stage, not because I'm like, "Hey, take a
Yep.
picture of me," versus this, I'm like, "Take a pic," and, like, I was asking him to be my little, like, photographer for the day, and we took pictures together too, but, yep,
Right.
that's me in Richmond, enjoying the sunshine.
Well, and again, I think it's just, I don't think I've seen a picture of you just kind of standing straight up and down. Like,
No.
again, just you're always so expressive, and that's what I love about the pictures that you've sent. But even at that, right? So even in high school, you do have this penchant for being expressive and actually being in theater and having a solo singing.
Yeah, it kinda, like it was a whirlwind, and I miss doing theater, and I think now because of where I'm at, I'm kinda would consider doing it again, and, a story that I actually haven't told you because I forgot until this moment,
Ah, here we go.
when I was in high school, I wanted to be on Broadway, I wanted to be the lead, I wanted to be the star, and I had a teacher tell me, "That will never happen for you," and she never said specifically because of my weight, but I feel like that was probably a very big part of it. So
Yeah.
I was told like you're never going to be the star. You're never going to get anywhere. And I like to think that that's not the truth. But I
Right.
do feel like it was like, okay, you're overweight. Broadway doesn't want overweight people. And it was very discouraging, but I've kind of used that as a like, nah, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's not the truth. Maybe I won't be on Broadway and that's okay. But I'm still really happy with how my life has turned out and how it's turning out. And there's still a lot of potential. And
I
now
was
that
gonna
I've lost
say,
weight,
you're 30 years old, girl. You're still a kid. You're killing me.
but there's the potential to do anything now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all right in front of me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure there's theater down in Williamsburg.
Oh yeah, the Williamsburg Players, and I mean, Busch Gardens is here if I wanted to do performing at
Right.
Busch Gardens, and
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, Allie, I think we're on to something.
Next time I'm on, I'll be a Broadway star. How's that?
I love that. Well, or the next time I'm at Busch Gardens, so you'll
Yep.
be in one of the shows there. So awesome. Hey, I tell you what, let's talk to us about these pictures.
Yeah. So
Who's that?
actually, I don't know. Sometimes it really does feel, I mean, it genuinely does feel like a perfectly different person. So the picture on the right is from my 1 year anniversary with my boyfriend. We went to Busch Gardens. Theme parks, you'll see, are kind of a big role in my life and my
Yeah.
personal time. So our 1 year anniversary back in 2018. And then the picture on, I think I said on the left is Busch Gardens. On the right is from my homecoming. I want to say it was my junior year homecoming. So I was probably about like 16 in this picture. Um,
Okay.
Still expressive and all those good things, but I mean, definitely not very happy. And I think I remember being
Yeah.
really uncomfortable in that dress simply because I was very self conscious about my arms and how I looked. But those are definitely two different people and two different people from the person that you're talking to right now.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that we should probably let's hit that topic. We're going to jump around a little bit,
Oops, sorry.
um, but no, no, no. Let's address that topic because you said it while we were doing the pre-interview, and you said, "I never ever thought I could be here." And when you said that, you were talking about, oh my gosh, at this stage of my game, I've been 180 or 185 now for almost an entire year,
Hmm.
right? And that nowadays it almost seems like it's a whole separate life from your life previous to this. Can you flesh that out a little bit for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, like looking at pictures and seeing myself from the past, like I don't recognize her. And it's not just externally. It's not the way that I looked, it's the way that I felt, the way that I felt about myself, the mindset that I had about everything. It has all shifted. Everything, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that is completely different. And I see a perfectly different person. I don't hate her. I don't dislike
Hmm.
her. If anything, I sympathize with her. Um, but I know that I'm not that person anymore because I've changed, I've grown, I've developed. And it is because of ideal protein, like, but that was just the key. And I think it's
Hmm.
Sonia Jones. She says, ideal protein is the key that opens the door to new possibility. She says it so much more elegantly than I do, but that's what it is. It was really the key because as my body started to change, my mindset started to change, my outlook started to change, everything has just completely shifted from before, and I don't recognize that person. I have a Google Home in my kitchen and it cycles through photos of me and my boyfriend and my family and my pets, and a lot of times when older photos come up I'm like, oh, who's that? Like, who is that person? Or like, oh, I don't even remember that. Like, that's just a whole lifetime ago. It feels like, even though at this point it was about a
Yeah.
year ago, a year 2 years ago, it feels
Yeah.
like an infinity.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally identify with that. And yes, Sonia will say, ideal protein is the key that opens the door to transformation, right?
That's
And
what it
and
is.
and I've said that as well. It seems like personal transformation starts so many people's stories when you hear them. It starts with weight loss, right?
Mhm.
I like to think, and now that we understand so much about how the program works, to me, what I've been able to really piece together is the metabolic piece. And the hottest thing out there right now on the scientific feeds is the connection between metabolism and mental health,
Mhm.
right? And your metabolism kind of sets the stage for what's going on upstairs there. It's certainly a part of my story, and both the bad and the good. And that's just something we're starting to touch on. But yeah, it's God, I love how you're talking about all this stuff. It's so great. Um, you know, we had also talked about one of the things that has always kind of been a thing for you and or for your family, are amusement parks,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Yep.
And tell us the like loving amusement parks, but always just being having anxiety when you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so before I lost the weight, I mean I've always been going. I think I've had a season's pass to Busch Gardens since I was like 12 or 13. It's been a very long time. A long-standing member over here, but when I was
Okay. Do
bigger,
you
I would
remember the big bad wolf?
absolutely. I'm glad Verbolten is there. I love Verbolten, but it was Big Bad Wolf is iconic. It was a hanging ride. You got to go through like bits of what looked like Germany. It was such a good ride. I 100% remember
Okay.
that.
Okay. So now you're making me feel a little younger because
Yeah.
yeah, last time when we were there, I was like, wait, where's the big bad wolf? I'm like, oh my God, it's been gone for years, sir.
It has been gone, but they do have a nice tribute to it. So I don't know if you know, but when you go in for Bolton, which is what replaced what replaced Big Bad Wolf,
Yeah.
when you go through for Bolton, there's different scenes that will play out. And one of them is the Big Bad Wolf. You hear wolves like howling, you see red eyes on
Yeah.
the inside. So they tribute it very nicely, but nothing will ever replace it
Too
entirely.
funny.
But I have been going for a very long time. And I remember very vividly one time I went and Apollo's Chariot, you see on
Yeah.
here, which fun fact, that's the ride that Fabio got hit in the face with a goose. If you didn't know that,
No
Fabio,
way. I had
very true.
no
Look at it,
idea.
Google it. Fabio got hit in the face with a goose on that ride, but I fortunately didn't. But what did happen to me on that ride, it's a lap bar ride. So you just pull the lap bar
Yeah.
down, and when you pull it down, there's a little indicator in the joint. There's a red line. And if that red line isn't all the way showing, they can't operate the ride. You're not safe to ride. I remember this one time I got on and it was on the border. Like the red line wasn't all the way. And they're like, we can't ride like this. The operator had to physically like use their entire body weight to like push it down one more notch on me so we could ride. I was that close to getting kicked off because I was too
Oh,
big. But they like shoved it down and I was like sucking in my gut and it was pretty uncomfortable, but I got to ride, which was cool. But that really didn't feel good. It really didn't. Like
no.
having to push it down, and there's other rides like Alpengeist where you if you're like a heavier set person, they have designated seats for you. And there's a time where
Gotcha.
I only on certain rides had to ride in those designated seats, or some older rides they have smaller seating, things like that. I was just too uncomfortable. I could fit, it would work, but it was just so uncomfortable because of my size that I
Yeah.
just never even bothered with it. And that's not really the case anymore. So now the
Yeah.
picture on the right is my boyfriend and I on Intimidator at King's
Yeah.
Dominion, and I'm like, it fits all the way. And that's actually the first time I rode a roller coaster at my new weight.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's the first because this also happened like earlier in the year last year. Like right when I had hit my goal weight. It was cold, so no one was really going to parks or anything like that. So that happened. And it felt really good to like watch it go down and be like, I have plenty of room. Like we can make it a little smaller. I'm comfortable. It's a good feeling knowing that like because that anxiety of being worried that you're going to be told to get off the
Right.
ride at any point in time. I'm grateful that that never happened to me, but it was very close a couple
I
of times.
can't even imagine. Right. Here you are. And again, you're standing in line for however godly long,
Yeah.
wait it is to actually get to the ride.
Mhm.
And just that whole time to feel that anxiety building up, like, will I be able to? Will I be able to? That's
Mhm.
gotta be the absolute worst.
It's stressful. Yeah.
Oh my God. And so then also too, you've got a story about a very special carousel.
Yes.
Tell us about that. I thought that was fascinating and again, yet heartbreaking.
So back in 2018, my boyfriend and I went to Anaheim, California, and we went to Disneyland. And we did this special um, tour where I don't remember exactly what it's called, but pretty much it was a group of us. We got to do all these like behind the scene things with Disneyland, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a special insiders tour, I guess, if you will. And part of that was we got to go to the carousel that Disney got the inspiration for Disneyland at. So pretty much long story short with that, Disney took his daughters to this carousel. They were riding on the ride and he had some thought around there should be a park where people can enjoy like their families like this, and that's just kind of where the inspiration for Disneyland happened, and we got to visit that site. um I don't think it's usually operating. It's pretty, I think, from what I understand, kind of difficult to get to, I believe. But we got to go there, especially the guy who operates it, owns it, gave us a tour, talked to us about it, all that good stuff. And we got the opportunity to ride. And it's an older machine. So I don't think they
Yep,
operate it
yep.
often. So to be able to ride it, is kind of special. And because of my size, I was not able to get on one of the horses that go up and down because the weight limit was 200 pounds. And at that point, I was probably 260, 250, like definitely like way
Wow.
over. So
Yeah.
I was still fortunate enough to ride. I didn't get to go on the up and down horse, but I got to sit in like a stationary one with my boyfriend. So it was still a special experience, but it made me feel really bad about myself that like, oh, because I'm too heavy, I don't get to do that. I don't get to ride on that horse. I don't get to do that one
Sure.
specific thing. But this picture
Yeah.
is us at surprise Busch Gardens.
Surprise.
Surprise. At Busch Gardens, like riding the carousel 100%, no worries, hopping right on the horse and going
Yeah.
along. And I don't know if I'll ever get to go back and have the opportunity to ride the carousel at Disney, or that Disney was inspired by, but
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
other carousels waiting for me.
Yeah. You know, I want to, I think a big part of your message and a big part of your story um, is is the fact that you can do this.
Mhm.
And the way you said it to me, you say it.
Ooh, was it the part where I said, if you don't think you
Stop saying I can't, I can't, I can't.
okay, that, yeah,
Right?
okay, so stop saying, yeah, if you say you can't, you're right. If you say you can't, you're right. If you say you can, you're right. I think you said Henry Ford said that too, but it's
Yeah.
very true. If you tell yourself, "Oh, I can't do that," I like you're stopping yourself. You're immediately going to be correct. But if you tell yourself you can and you work on it, and if you believe in yourself, like that says, you're halfway there. You just have to believe. It may not be easy. It may be super difficult. I'm not going to say my journey was easy. It wasn't, but was it worth it? More than anything. Like my life is completely transformed now, like we've been talking about. And if you feel like you can't, like I've had people say, I don't have the willpower, I don't have the this, I don't have the that, because you're telling yourself that. Because
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
what you're trapping in your mind. And you're stopping yourself, you're slowing yourself down. But as soon as you decide to say, you know what, I'm worth putting this effort into, I am worth this, and I deserve to be happy, and I deserve to have the body and the life that I want, then you're halfway there.
And that's just the thing, right? I mean, it's they say one decision has the potential to change your entire life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Yep.
like that's what this is. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
do, and that's the decision many people make when they walk through this door,
Yep. And
right?
my decision was on a bus on the way back to a hotel. It happened that quickly. Like a 10-minute bus ride.
Well, it did and it didn't. Again,
It did and it
you had
didn't.
2 months worth of buildup and learning and getting excited and worked up about it. And
True.
for me, that's I think that you are in a perfect place right now as far as your seat on the IP bus, um, i- being able to help drive a lot of the messaging, coming up with the imaging and editing and things like that, um, because you know it now and it's so personal to you, right?
Mhm.
And so that's what inspires me to know that you're behind a lot of this stuff that comes out of there,
Yeah.
and I absolutely love that. Um, okay, here, where are we? Where are we? Oh, but again, you also talked about how this has opened up. It's opened up different opportunities for you. You've
Mhm.
done things that you wouldn't normally maybe step up to do. There's this thing down in Williamsburg, trivia night at the brewery. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So I work part-time at a brewery called Frothy Moon Brew House.
I
I've been
love it.
working there since October. It's all space themed and it's super it's amazing, and I love working there. And when we first opened, I kind of briefly mentioned to them like, "Oh, it'd be fun if we did trivia." And then a couple months later, they were like, "Hey, did you mean that? Like, would you do it?" And old Allie, the one we were talking about earlier, would have said no. She would have been like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's too much. That's too nerve-wracking." Like like having people like being on stage, I feel like is different because you're a different person. You're a character. You have scripts.
Hmm.
You're being told what to do more or less when you're on stage, right? But like doing trivia, like it's me. It's Allie. It's all 100% authentic. It's me putting this together. It's me putting myself out there as a human being, not as a character. And I feel like old me would have been very hesitant to do it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
they asked me, and instantly I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. And actually, tonight is the eighth night or the eighth week. We started in January. It's going to be space themed, but tonight's the eighth week, and it's been going so incredibly well. We've had 99 teams join, teams, not people, teams, 99
Right.
teams join. And we're extending it all through March. So we're adding 5 more weeks. So it's been going really well. And I really do think a part of that is because I have the confidence to do it, and I'm not afraid to be in front of those people and do those
Yeah.
things. So I do attribute a lot of that to the confidence and the positive mindset that I've gained through this transformation.
Yeah, 100%. I love that story. I thought that was so neat. Um, and again, a lot of times it's because when we hear from our clients, it kind of goes like this. Well, oh my gosh, if I could accomplish this, what else could I accomplish? What
Hmm.
other things can I do? And you cannot underestimate the spillover effect into your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and your self-worth. And truly, it opens so many new doors.
Hmm.
What other kind of fun things have you been doing? I think that story is cool because it has nothing to do with physicality or athletics, right?
Hmm.
But you also have those stories as well.
Yeah. So in my Empowering Life Possible project video that you guys may have seen, I know you've seen Dr. Barnes, I'm kayaking.
Yes, I love
And
it.
that's something I didn't that's one of those things that like I didn't know I wanted to do until I like had the opportunity to do it. Could I have always gone in there as a 250, 280 pounds? Yeah, maybe. But I was afraid to like sink the boat. And when I was younger, I went to 4-H camp and I had the
Yeah,
opportunity to do it was either kayaking or canoeing. I think it was canoeing, maybe kayaking, um, floating on the water. And the instructor had us put all the noses of our, I'll just say kayaks together in like a circle. And they were like, oh, if you want, you can get out of your canoe one at a time and like walk around the circle. And it was like this fun thing that everyone got to do. I didn't do it. I was terrified that I
yeah.
was going to tip someone over, that I was too heavy, that I was going to like mess something up and like, I don't know, drown a kid or something crazy like that.
No, stop.
So I stayed in, and I omitted myself from that opportunity. It's a small thing, right? But as a kid, like that's fun and everyone
Nope,
else was enjoying it. And I
it's
just
a
sat
big
there in the
deal.
boat feeling bad about myself because if I do that, I'm going to sink a boat, or I'm going to tip someone over, or I'm too heavy for that. And now, you can see in the picture on the right, I love to go kayaking. Where I live in Williamsburg, on a peninsula, so there's rivers on both sides, there's water everywhere, there's opportunity for kayaking. My parents were amazing enough to give me an inflatable inflatable kayak for Christmas. Haven't had
Yeah,
the opportunity yet because it's been way too cold, but like now I have one myself that I can go out and take whenever I want. And it's just the not worrying about like sinking the boat or being too heavy or anything like that. It's very freeing in the way that you glide, like you feel weightless when you're on the water, and like
yeah, yeah.
it's such an incredible feeling. And even just a fun fact, you'll see there's mud all over me. We got stuck in the mud that day. If you can see all over my shoulder. But that's something that like I didn't really think about until like afterwards, where like I didn't mentally block myself from it and it became a possibility. So maybe before I lost the weight, they were like, I wanted to, like, I didn't have these, like, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. I kind of just like
Right, right.
really omitted myself from it. But once that mental block cleared, once those things came up, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, let's do that. Or like, because it felt possible, because I was able to do it, I didn't instantly omit myself. I didn't like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I can't
yeah,
do that. That's not gonna happen." And
yeah.
that's like you said, it spilled over into what else can I do? What can I be doing? And on top of kayaking, um, also, sorry, I just want to shout out that's my dog Bishop, and I love him very much. Um, that's
Hey,
so cute.
Bishop.
That's one of my never again photos, like we had talked about. I don't even know how big I was at that point in time. But
You know
another,
what?
what? Sorry,
Since
yeah.
since you since you pointed that out, I would love to bring that concept out to our people. Um, it's kind of part of my story, but I like to pass it on, and I like to pass it on to my clients as well. After I had lost my weight, I was at a party, and a friend of mine took me aside to tell me how excited he was that I had made the decision, that I had lost the weight, because he had truly become so concerned about me and my health that he was working up the nerve to say something to me. He said, I saw a picture of us, a couple months ago when we went out to that concert. And I said to myself, my God, how long am I going to let him go before I say something? I said, dude, you got to show me this picture. And he showed me a picture that I had never seen before that scared me to death. And I said, you've got to send that to me, because that is going to be my never going back picture. Every time I look at that picture, I say, I am never going back there. And, that triggered something in you, and you said, hey, you know what? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think I've got mine. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, 100%. Yeah. I never really considered that concept until you mentioned it the other day. And I was like, oh, and instantly this picture and another picture that I think we'll see later popped into my head immediately. Instantly. I was like, that's it. I'm never going back to that picture. And it's kind of a source of inspiration. Like I said, I don't hate her. I love her.
No.
And I'm glad of who I was then, but I'm also glad to see that growth and transformation from that point in time. And there's my other one, not the being picked up one, which guess what? We're at a theme park again. But the picture on the left was on my birthday, on my 27th birthday, maybe. And that's probably one of my biggest. I think that's about when I weighed myself around 292.
Okay.
And then the picture on the right was last March. No, I don't know. Within the past year or so.
It's been a whirlwind.
It's really bothering me. Yeah, now I can't remember when it was. It was either March or October. It may have been October. Where my boyfriend can pick me up now. And that's been such a big thing. And he's been so supportive and encouraging, and he really did help me through this process too. If we ever went to eat out, he would check the menu before and make sure there was stuff that I could eat that was protocol friendly. And he cooks a lot, so he made sure to cook things that really supported me. So I just want to shout out to Jake, because he's been an incredible support system for me throughout that process.
But he's the best.
He's amazing. But he can pick me up now, and that's something that I think that's another thing that I never really thought was possible, because of my weight, I could never be picked up. And that sounds like a weird thing, but you think about the brides being picked up and carried through the threshold and things like that. And it never felt possible. Who's going to pick up an almost 300-year-old or 300, wow, year-old, 300-pound 300-pound person? That's going to be difficult, if not impossible. And now that that's a thing, he literally we'll hug each other or something, and he'll pick me up just because he knows I enjoy it, because it makes me feel good. That's a thing now, that I'm I am light enough to be picked up by another human being. And that's not something that I really ever thought. I mean, since I was 4 would be a possibility.
Well, and again, you told me that yesterday, and one of us is going to cry at some point, and I'm pretty close, because I thought that was so amazing, and he just does it from time to time because he can.
Just because,
right? Yeah, juice bumps. It's giving me juice bumps. So, what other things have you been able to do or try, or that you never considered or came to your head oh my God, I used to do that, I want to do it again?
Yeah. So when I was in Seattle, I met the incredibly amazing Jessica Bankston, I think is how you say it. Bankston.
Yeah, Jessica.
Jessica, the skydiving wonder, who is the poster child for Powering Life Possible project, and who has given us such inspiration. And was on your podcast before and had a lot of amazing things to say. So I met her in Seattle.
Fact, she had 2 episodes because her story was so amazing. We had to split it in 2 because there was so much really, really great stuff there.
So and her coaches Jennifer and Allison, they're super amazing too. I got to meet them as well. But I met Jessica, and I fangirled a little. I'm not gonna lie. I was like I was meeting a celebrity, but I talked to her, and it just kind of got me thinking, what's something that I wanted to do that I couldn't do before, because I was pretty much, I don't want to say at the end of my weight loss journey, but I was nearing my goal weight at that point in time, or if I had just recently hit it, but I was about the weight I am now. And I thought to myself, okay, what's something that I've wanted to do, or I thought that would be fun? And I thought of when I was younger, I had friends who had a longboard, and I was like, "Oh, that looks fun." So I got on it, and they started laughing.
Which is a skateboard.
It's
We're
a
not
yeah,
talking
skateboard,
surfboard.
but
We're talking skateboard.
yes, yeah, not a long, not like surfing, but like a long skateboard, right? So I got on it, and it bowed in the middle because I was so heavy. And they started laughing, and they're like, "I've never seen it do that before." And I was super embarrassed, and I don't think I ever got on one again.
Yeah.
And that story came to me when I was thinking about that. So when I was in Seattle, I got on Amazon and I bought myself a longboard, and it was here waiting when I got back. So I have been working on longboarding and scooting around on that, and I'm still working on it, but I wouldn't have even bought it had I not lost the weight.
And again, a story that I love about you, and you said, oh my God, I forgot to tell you, when I was in Seattle, I bought a longboard because I could, and I was like, how the hell did she get that home from Seattle? Like, did she bring it on the plane did they let her bring it? Did she have to get an extra seat? And I love that. No, I pressed the button and ordered it. It was waiting for me when I got back.
Waiting for me. Yeah.
So I think in a rare moment for the Life Possible podcast, we might have video of you longboarding.
Yeah.
Let's see what I got.
And that is literally the night I got home from Seattle. I got home from Seattle. I like opened my longboard and I'm like, we're going outside. And that's like almost fresh off the plane that I was so excited to do it.
Oh my God, that is so much fun. And I would be remiss too if I didn't say something about the tattoo you got out in Seattle. Right?
My Seattle tattoo. Yeah. So Courtney Brunson, who also works for Ideal Protein, I was like, I'm gonna get a tattoo. She's like, can I come with you? And I was like, heck yeah. So we spent the whole day together. I went and got my tattoo with the mountains because that trip to Seattle was very important to me. Ideal Protein gave me the opportunity to film and develop and create the highlight reels. So when you see the highlight reels from the past super weekends from 2022, I created all of those by myself. And Seattle was the first one that I did. And I remember the CEO Dawn turned around like after it played, and she's like, "Good job," and like gave me a thumbs up. And I was like crying in the back because I was so happy and proud of myself. And I wanted to memorialize that with a tattoo. Courtney was so kind to come with me, and she's like, "You should add mushrooms," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant!" So that's how the mushrooms got into the picture, and this is just my kind of way of like making more permanent that memory of like feeling so good about myself and proud of my accomplishments and just kind of like being so happy, Yeah.
Well, but Alli, and this is now also being a part of something that's larger than you, right? And being able to impact people for transformation, for amazing good. I can't believe that you make those freaking videos. It's one of the craziest things. You're at the weekend all weekend long, and I'm trying to get in every camera shot I can. And by the end of the weekend, they've got this amazing highlight reel, and you have no idea how they did that. I mean, that's one of the coolest things ever. And you've been holding out on me. I had no idea. No idea. Well, and I think it might just go along with this picture here. Don't underestimate what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No. Oh, keep going. Keep going. We got so many good things. When all the technology was backfiring yesterday, and we started to get pressed for time, etc. You're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I got a hard stop because I got to go. Where were you going to go?
To cardio kickboxing class.
What?
Yeah. I've been going to the local YMCA, doing kickboxing classes, body pump classes, Zumba classes, just like going to the gym as well. So that's another thing that I felt like wasn't possible. Like, so now that I've lost the weight, I feel like I can now like tone myself and be like I know because of the Embody, I have a whole bunch of muscle. Like I want to tone those and define those and really like transform my body even further. So fat loss
Hmm.
was the first step, and now I'm trying to like tone and really build that. So I went to kickboxing. I've been going pretty consistently since January. I missed last week because of Valentine's Day, but um, it's a lot of fun and it makes me feel good. And when I was yesterday, I think I told you earlier, after talking to you, I just felt so inspired and so like proud and just had all this energy that I feel like I poured that into like my kickboxing workout, and I grabbed weights that were a little bigger than normal, and I really just kind of like went a little harder than normal just because I felt like that positive energy of like I can do anything. And one thing that the instructor always says, Andrea, um you get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
And so whenever she says that, like I always like work a little harder because like if I in those like 45 minutes, if I just push myself a little harder, then what am I going to get in return? I'm going to get more, and like not just
Yeah.
half I'm not allowed to cross halfing it. Uh, and then really going into it. So that's something I think when I was younger I enjoyed stuff like that, but it was more of like I'm in the background, I'm just here to have fun versus like I'm here to really like transform myself and make a change in my body. And
Yeah.
it's just not only is it fun, but it's I feel good afterwards. Like I remember
Yeah.
the first class I did in January, I walked out and I talked to my boyfriend and I was like, I'm gonna keep coming back. That was amazing. I feel amazing. And I was like so like on a high that day. And like ever since when I go to those classes, I just feel so incredible afterwards. And I feel like that's not something I would have really been like felt before because I don't have
Yeah.
that like shame, and like my body just works better now too, which is really nice. Um but
When you
it's
told me about that one class, that body pump class, that you were like, "Oh, yeah,
oh,
yeah, I just
I almost
I don't think I
cried.
can do this."
I seriously, I almost cried. Um, I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to like do more classes and do more things. And I looked up what it was online, and it didn't really give me like the best description. So I'm like, well, the best way to find out is to go. So I went, and the instructor, Doug, he's really cool. I was like, this is my first time. Like, what do I need? And we grabbed like a barbell and we grabbed hand weights and a whole bunch of different stuff. And I followed along the best that I could. And um, it was hard. It was really hard. I grabbed what I thought were beginner level weights, and I think I needed to go to like pre-beginner weights because it was really difficult. It's a lot of like repetitions with weights and muscle building and things like that. And at the end, we were doing this thing where you like lay on your elbow and you have your feet on the ground and you're kind of like doing like a side plank. I physically couldn't do it, and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was not even a month ago. Physically couldn't do it. And I just kind of sat there and I didn't cry because I didn't want to like cry in the middle of class when everyone else is like doing side planks next to me. But like I internalized it and I felt really bad. And after I was walking out, like I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing it. That was so bad. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I'm not going to get better if I quit. I'm not
Mhm.
going to get stronger. I have to keep going. So I've been going back. I've been like to two more classes. They're a little like the timing is a little different. So I've only been to like two classes after that. But I decided I'm not going to cut myself out because it was too hard because it's not going to get easier if I stop.
Right. Right. Right, and it's just such a whole different philosophy of life now,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, so you know what? I wanted to give you the heads up. It's okay if you cuss, but you have to give
Okay.
me a heads up because then I gotta do this.
Okay. Good to know. The filter's going down then.
You alluded to it before.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Powering Life Possible project. What is it? How did it come about? And then how did you get chosen?
Yeah, so the Powering Life Possible project is a marketing initiative, a marketing campaign that we started conceiving probably back like June, if not sooner, before last year. So a couple months in the making, we worked with an agency that kind of gave us the idea. We loved it, and we like kind of developed it from there. They gave us a set of like these stock photos. Like this is kind of what it would look like: people swimming, people being active. Because like the idea is powering life possible. Like what's the one thing you really want to do when you lose the weight? Like for Jessica, it was skydiving. She's the poster
Yeah,
child
yeah,
for this. Like literally, the
right.
agency saw her video, and this all spawned from her. Um, so that's around when I like lost my weight. I was maintaining, and we decided one day we had just moved to Williamsburg not too long before that, and I was like, let's go kayaking. It's like $6 an hour. Like we'll go down the river or whatever. And one of the images, which I think you can see throughout the campaign somewhere, but there's a woman
Yeah,
kayak
in the videos and stuff.
and she has her hands behind her head like this, and she's just enjoying the view and stuff like that. And that's an image that Cindy really liked and kind of wanted to emulate. And I was like kayaking, and I thought about that image, and I was like, hey Jake, take a picture of me, like just for fun. And
Right,
took
right.
my hands behind the head, just like the picture. And I sent it to the marketing group, like I couldn't help myself. And then Chris was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Are you
Wait, we've got
kidding
her
me?
right under our nose, right?
Yeah, and then they approached me and they were like, "Would you want like we can when you're because I was going to go to the Alberta Super Weekend anyway. I was going to be there
Yeah.
to film it like we had talked about earlier, and they were like, "Could we interview you and would you want to like go to Banff and go kayaking? We'll get footage," which was a amazing life experience. I'm so grateful for that.
Right.
Like, it is so beautiful there. It is so freaking incredible there. Like,
Well,
it
that,
was
that
amazing.
yeah,
An
that picture
amazing.
with you, the mountains behind it and everything, like, so, would you consider going to Banff and, kayaking so that we could take film and pictures? What?
Twitched my arm, sure. Like, and it's an amazing experience. I got to spend the day with Chris and the videographer Vinny, and I didn't eat elk because I'm a vegetarian, but they got like elk pizza, and we went and got some beers, and we walked around, and we went hiking, and that's another thing I'll tell you. And I should have sent you the picture, duh.
Yeah.
But so I guess Vinny had talked to one of the locals and like, what's a good hiking spot? And they're like, oh, there's this easy uphill where like kids in Crocs do it all the time. And so we went there and we started going up, and like it was hard. These kids are made out of steel or something like that.
Right,
Like
well, they're Canadian, eh?
I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like full on red, and like I think also the altitude. I'm not used to that altitude and things like that. So maybe that was
True.
part of it. It was really, really difficult. And we're going up, and Vinny's kind of chugging along. And I thought about quitting, and I was like, I can't do this. And then I was like, you know what? When am I going to be in Canada again? When am I going to be in the spot again? When am I going to have the
Yep.
opportunity to hike this? I've heard the views are beautiful. And so I
Mhm.
kept plugging along, and I made it all the way to the top. It was really hard. I had Vinny take pictures of me. We took pictures, and it was incredible. Like I got that view, and I got to the top, and I was like, I never would have done this before. I would have quit. I wanted to quit so many times because it was raining. It started raining. It wasn't supposed to rain.
Oh my
Also,
god.
I was soaked. Um, but we just kept plugging along, and I don't even know how high it was or anything like that. But it was an incredible experience. And again, like I wouldn't have kept going otherwise. I
Yeah,
would be like, this is too hard. I
yeah,
can't do it. But I made it all the way to the top. There's a picture of me. I'm like, yeah, like, and I'm proud of
yeah.
myself for doing that. Like, I'm so proud that I stuck to it because like the views were incredible. There's like a train going by, and like right when we got to the top, the rain kind of stopped. So like the clouds started to disperse, and there was sunlight
Oh,
coming through the clouds, and
geez.
it was beautiful. It was amazing. And I'm just really proud of myself for plugging along because I needed to take a few breaks, but I made it.
Yeah, right, and you can do hard things. You can do things,
Yeah,
and it's worth it when you push yourself, right?
it's the mindset. Yeah.
How many mountaintop views are waiting out there for you?
Ooh,
Hmm.
hundreds, I hope.
Ooh. Hey, so, again, let's bring this in for a landing, okay?
Mhm.
Like I said, you've got so many amazing things that you've been able to share. And truly, you're going to touch some lives and inspire some people to create their own transformation. Um, like I said, Allie, I love your story, and I love that it came about the way that it did. I love the fact that you're working in marketing for Ideal Protein, helping us dispel being the best kept secret in weight loss. And I think too, I've shared this vision and mission with on other shows, but I wanted to bring it back again because I really feel like your story very much embodies exactly this mission and vision. And the mission of Ideal Protein, as stated, is to empower people to achieve transformational weight loss and live healthier lives. Um, that that's exactly what you achieved, was transformational weight loss, right? I mean, anybody can lose 10 or 20 pounds, right? But 60 plus pounds is transformational. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even like So 60 pounds with idle protein, but overall, like over 120, like overall in general. But like that 60 pounds, like I mean, we've been talking about it, right? Like you saw like my befores and my afters and how things have changed, and we've talked it too. Like it's not just about the outside, and I truly believe that. Like,
Yep.
do
Yep.
I feel like I look great? I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm really happy with the way I look, but I'm much more happier, much more satisfied with with grammar, much happier and satisfied with who I am inside and
Yeah.
how my mindset has transformed and how everything has shifted for me inside, my confidence, my self-esteem, my like ability to just say, you know what, no, I can keep doing that. I'm going to continue doing that and not just giving up because it was hard. So it has transformed my external being, my internal being, everything.
Yeah, and your energy level, right? Just your
Yeah,
ability to do stuff because you have the energy and the vitality to do it.
yeah.
Right. And I think to
Mhm,
me too, like that's where we get into the vision of ideal protein, where they talk about leading the way to end obesity through metabolic transformation. And that's what sets us apart. This is an inside out protocol that's
mhm,
designed to shift that metabolism back into working condition, back to factory defaults,
yep,
so that it burns fat for most of what we're doing and it kicks into carb burning when it needs to, and it's flexible back and forth so that you can do whatever it is that you think is your life possible. Right?
mhm. Or what you don't even know could be your life possible yet that'll come to your door.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah. Thank you so much for doing this and for sharing all those things. You've been super authentic with it all,
Well, thank
and
you.
like I
Thank you
said,
for
I
hosting it.
think I
And
think
you
that's why many people are going to be touched by your story and inspired to start their own journey or pick their journey back up and
mhm,
get back to it. Right?
absolutely, yeah. And I just want to
Right.
thank you for hosting this, allowing me to be on here. It's a pleasure to see you in person, digitally, however it is, and for putting the word out there, for having the one and only Life Possible podcast, Hydro Protein podcast, that is just so incredible and just another way that we get to spread the word. So thank you for what you do. It's amazing.
Oh, no, thank you. It's absolutely like you said. It's a pleasure and it's a passion. Like Dr. Tran, the originator of the program, said, every pound has a story, and every story needs to be told. And I just really kind of felt like needed to pick up the ball and keep telling the stories.
I'm glad you
So
have.
who knows? Who knows? Maybe someday we'll team up.
I would love that. Yes.
Me too. Me too. All right, Allie, hang out backstage in the studio for me, and I'll be right with you as I land this plane.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Alli Raymer. An amazing, amazing story of transformation and possibility, right? I mean, that's truly what it comes down to. I hope you heard something in her story that inspires you, like I said, to either start your journey if you have not, or to pick the ball back up and start running again with it and continue your journey towards your own life possible. Who knows what's out there that you can accomplish? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So think you can.